Washington football. Woo! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burgundy Zone. I am your host, Kyle, and I am joined by my co-host, Michael Reed. Michael Hall will be joining us here very, very soon. But the Burgundy Zone is a part of the Frederick Podcast Network. You can find out more by going to www.listenfrederick.com. But we are rejoined by a special guest himself, Mr. Ryan Fowler of the Draft Network. Thank you so much for blessing us on this Monday evening, sir. How are you doing?
Of course. Always appreciate you guys having me on.
Of course, Ryan. And I have to get your opinion because obviously you work with the Draft Network. We got to talk about these rookies, and you can't start by talking about this game on Saturday where Carolina just edged them out 23-21, just edging out Sam Howell in his 15-point fourth quarter where he came in and actually did pretty well. What would you think of Sam Howell? Did you expect for him to play like that in his first preseason game?
Well, coming into the year, we knew, just watching a little bit of Sam Howell and what he did at Carolina, the dude is tough as nails. And I hate that label of game manager, but you flip on his film and watch that game against Pitt last year and how tough he was in the rain and how different his really production and skill set and what he had to do for that Carolina offense last year in comparison to the studs that Carolina offense had in 2020. Javonte Williams, Michael Carter. They didn't have that last year. And they didn't even have a good offensive line, one of the worst offensive lines in football. But Sam Howell, he added his legs to his game, had 11 rushing touchdowns at Carolina last year. We saw it against the Panthers. He's dynamic when it comes to plays off script. And then the easy gas that he has with his arm was completely dynamic. And I don't want to kind of jump to conclusions and say, Sam Howell's the starter here. He needs to challenge Carson Wentz for snaps here. He may not play at all this year. But to have that in your back pocket and that ability, and Taylor Heinicke should be, just as Antonio Gibson's maybe looking in the rearview mirror on Brian Robinson, Taylor Heinicke for the backup spot, Sam Howell showcased a ton of tools for you to like. Now, granted, he wasn't facing any blitz packages or teams didn't have any film on him at the NFL level, but everyone is in the NFL here. They're all NFL guys. They're all getting paid to do this thing. And Sam Howell was a dynamic, and I loved what I saw from him on Saturday.
Right. Yeah. And those guys at that level, those third string guys and stuff, they need to make the team. They want to make the team. So they're trying to go out there. They're trying to make an impact. They're trying to make plays. You mentioned Brian Robinson. Of course, love what he did. Brian Robinson, he's so fluid. His body type almost reminds you of an Adrian Peterson kind of. What kind of role do you think he has, and how crucial was it for Antonio Gibson putting that ball on the ground?
I want to even dive a little deeper into Antonio Gibson's fumble, looking at the sequences that happened before the fumble and after. First 2 third downs that Washington had, J.D. McKissic was on the field. Now, we know what J.D. offers on third down, both as a runner and as a guy out of the backfield. Antonio Gibson wasn't on the field at all. Then he comes on the field and fumbles in the shadow of his own goal line. He gets benched. Brian Robinson comes in the game. He competes inside, outside the tackles, had the goal line touchdown. But as we move forward into the second half, and I'll get to Brian Robinson in just a second, I promise. But with Antonio, first 3rd and 2 that they had in the second half, Antonio was on the field. It's Jonathan Williams. Then he converts that third down. The next 3rd and short situation that they had, Antonio Gibson was on the field. Didn't convert it. 4th and 1, what do? They go for it. Jonathan Williams is on the field, not Antonio Gibson.
Yeah.
So just a lot of questions right now with Antonio's future. But with Brian Robinson, he moved up the depth chart yesterday by not even playing his first NFL snap, which tells me a lot. And we know that Ron Rivera wants to add to that culture and have guys that can, your 2, your 3rd, your 4th stringers, be able to come in and compete at any time. It's a next man up mentality, and it truly is. And Brian Robinson came in with the ones. There was no hiccup. There was no, we're going to give him 3-4 carries just to run in between the tackles and see what he can do. He came in, and like you said, Mike, he looked fluid. He was tough. He's always falling forward. I love that about his game, and he's only going to improve as his snaps come.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. Real fast, just to add on to that, I mean, you're 100% right. But Antonio Gibson, just him fumbling that ball, I feel like was so just crucial with everything going on. And as many big plays as he makes, doesn't matter if he's putting the ball on the ground like he did last year, and like we've seen so far through not even a few snaps of a preseason game, he's gonna have a hard time getting on that field.
Yeah,
it's just go ahead.
No,
it's
sorry.
Just
Yeah, it does. It was a very bad situation, but the first-round pick, Jahan Dotson, didn't get his name called that much, but there were plays I saw on film where he was able to get open, and Carson just didn't see him, where the play just didn't go in that direction. What did you see out of Jahan Dotson in his first start?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do as well. Go back into the film just because he's not on the box score. That's why I hate box score scouting. It
Yeah.
doesn't tell you the full story. Go back and watch the all 22. And Jahan looked open at times, but a lot of things for Carson, it was super vanilla. You saw him target Armani Rogers 4 times in the first 2 series. He's hitting Brian Robinson, JD McKissick. He targeted Curtis Hodges. Now, he took a couple shots downfield. Terry got a shot. Jahan got a shot. But Jahan, the biggest thing for him, and I even put it out on Twitter, that screenplay that they had on the outside. I
Yep.
believe it was to Curtis Samuel. I believe it
was.
may not be right, but
He was.
his blocking on the outside as a receiver is an effort thing. And he's
Right.
not, he doesn't have the frame of Cam Sims. Terry McLaurin's even a little bit beefier and rocked up than he is right now. He has that wiry frame. And for him to get on the outside and stick his nose in the mud, like that's just something that is an effort thing. And that told me a lot about who the kid that he is. And because it is his first preseason game, I didn't need him to see get 5, 6, 7 targets. If that was the case, then sure, that'd be great. But the little things what I tried to focus on film, and Jahan looked really good.
Yeah, I completely agree with him. The effort there, it's so crucial for a first round pick as a wide receiver. You're right. Somebody who's 175 pounds soaking wet, 5'10", to go out there and at least attempt to block, just get in somebody's way. You love that. That's football. But you mentioned the tight ends, both undrafted kids. I mean, Armani Rogers and Curtis Hodges played a lot. What did you see from them?
Yeah, I guess Washington is trying to do that quarterback tight end convert thing again, like they did with Logan Thomas. But good for them. Guys are down. Bates, Turner, and LT are hurt. Let him step up and let him play. And throwing Armani Rogers in the fire, he was targeted early. Now, is that something that we could see moving into the regular season? I hope not. Right, we want Logan Thomas on the field,
Right.
Cole Turner and Don Bates. We've seen their success in camp so far. But 2 UDFAs, remember Curtis Hodges at Arizona State? They don't run a crazy offense out there. Their quarterback last year, Jaden Daniels, is now at LSU. That offense wasn't premier. I mean, their running back, Rashad White, was a good player. He's with the Buccaneers now. But Curtis Hodges wasn't a featured target there either. You know,
pretty sure Rashad White's moved down to like 4th string now on the Bucs.
Yeah,
I
which
just
is surprising because
yeah,
I liked his film
right.
too.
Same. He was awesome.
Yeah, but good for them. You know, let people compete. You don't know what you have. Let them play. Put them in fire and see how they react.
Absolutely. And speaking of throwing him in the fire, Fedarian Mathis, the second-round pick from this past draft, played a lot into the third quarter. What did you see out of Big 98?
I loved what I saw from Big Phil. And I was on the show, I believe, in May, right after the draft, criticizing Phil Mathis and the pick. And this is early, but after Friday night and watching what Travis Jones did for Baltimore, I was really excited and intrigued to see what Fedarian was going to do. And to be honest, he kicked, I'm not going to curse, but he kicked Cade Mays' rear end within the interior, throwing him around. And Cade Mays isn't
big boy,
some light body from down the street. He's a big body that played at Tennessee for multiple years. And he's throwing him around. I even saw him two-gapping a little bit. I don't think they're going to ask him to do too much of that this year because obviously they play an even front. But Fedarian Mathis, first signs, big, strong dude, just throwing people around. Big, he's a country guy. He's country strong. I love to see that from him. And, he's going to be a rotational guy right now behind Payne and Allen. But again, as much as a wake-up call was that Brian Robinson selection for Antonio Gibson, we've seen the last few years that Washington's tried to trade Jerome Payne. And Fedarian Mathis, he's going to have a heavy, substantial role this year. I really, really was excited about what I saw from Big 98 on Saturday.
Yeah, you're right. He's a man out there.
He's
just such a big burly dude, and it's crazy. He had 9.5 sacks last year for Bama. I know a lot of it came at odd times, but still, that's impressive for somebody that size. Other Washington rookie, 4th-round pick, Percy Butler. What did you see from him? Did you see anything from him? Did he flash at all?
He had
and you almost said yeah, exactly. Almost had the interception in the second half. And everyone I've talked to inside that building just love his physical mentality that he has to the game. We look back over the years. I mean, we're not going to go back as far as Sean Taylor. He was completely unique, but just with DJ Swearinger, 2 spoons, swagoo, right?
Mm-hmm.
That kind of that mentality that he had coming downhill. Percy Butler has a little bit of that to him. Kind of want to jack somebody up and let somebody know that you're here at the roof.
Right.
And everyone talked about his range at Louisiana Lafayette, someone that can make plays sideline to sideline. I wouldn't put him out there right now playing single high or do anything like that, but someone that can play opposite of Cam Curl or Bobby McCain, and that's going to make some plays and be a core special teamer just right now. Percy Butler is an athlete that Ron Rivera obviously likes. That's kind of the train that they've had these last few years of adding athletes. Doesn't matter what side of the ball. Percy Butler almost had a pick. That's all you can ask for. Just be sure in the back end. He looked good.
And as you talked about with special teams, he was amazing at special teams in college. So let's hope he can bring some of that back to the NFL.
Yeah, absolutely. But one of the issues for this defense last season, Ryan, was on third down, getting off the field. And obviously that reared its ugly head again on Saturday. They were putrid. I think at one point they were 9 of 12 for third down. They were just giving up everything. What are you seeing on third down? Is this more of a systematic kind of thing? Or did they just not game plan, or are you panicking about it?
Yeah, I'm not too worried about it right now. But we have expectations for this defense to be better. I know it was hard last year facing every tier 1 quarterback in the NFL ripping you apart on third down. But I think we talked about it last year before the Giants game in week 2. And I'm tired of being soft on defense. You have these athletes that you want to add at the second and third level. Get in somebody's face and let them know you're here. You have the bodies up front in the front 4, and you have athletes at the second level. Let them get after somebody. Baker Mayfield's completely new to the offense. I think we saw a little bit more aggressiveness as when Matt Corral in the game, he looked terrible in his first game. I love the kid. I think he's going to be a good player in this league. But Washington got more aggressive as they moved into the second half. But Baker Mayfield's brand new to that offense. And they didn't even have Christian McCaffrey on the field or DJ Moore or Terrace Marshall. I just want to be more aggressive on defense. We've seen this for too many years now.
Absolutely, and wholeheartedly agree. Now we are joined by our other co-host, Mr. Michael Hall. Do you have a question prepared for Ryan Fowler?
Ryan, if you want to ask him why he's late, feel free to go ahead.
No, I won't bash him.
You guys asked about Jamin Davis yet?
No, sir.
No.
All right. Well, yeah. When Jamin was in the game, I tried to just kind of single him out, focus on what he was doing, and it kind of looked like he was like reading things a little bit faster. I know he took on a fullback at one point, kind of made him bounce it outside. What did you see from Jamin, and do you think he's ready to take that next step this year?
Yeah, for him, it's slow to, at the linebacker spot. And I want to see that 4.4 speed this year. We talk about it so much. Oh, look back at the Florida-Kentucky game. He's running down the scene with Kyle Pitts. We didn't see that last year. We saw some flashes against Vegas, some flashes against Philly. But everything, once it slows down between the ears for him, it'll allow everything to play faster. And he looked quicker against Carolina. I know it's an early sign, but it's just something to move forward with. He's talked about it this offseason where everything is slowed down. And what better situation to be in working under 2 former linebackers in Jack Del Rio and Ron Rivera that have been around. They've been around a little bit, so they understand how to coach guys up and really athletes at the second level. So I think he's getting there. I still think he has a long way to go, but obviously with that first round pick, stick right to your front of your helmet, you're going to have expectations, and he's got to meet those moving into year 2, especially within the unit. So right now, the depth just scares me. Khaleke Hudson, I don't know what to do with Khaleke Hudson. David Mayo, I'm not going to get started on David Mayo. Nathan Gary missed tackles and open holes yesterday. On Saturday, just reading stuff downhill. It's read and react at the second level right now, and he's coming in a few days. He's been a veteran in this league, Nathan Gary I'm talking about, and I just don't have any excuse for missing guys in the open holes. Just feeling, but for the linebacking core with Holcomb and Davis right now, it scares me a little bit at the second level, and that kind of relates back to the third down concerns because we know how much Del Rio asks of Davis and Holcomb in coverage as well. And they have to improve on those things, and depth is going to matter for this defense. I'm not going to get into the Roquan Smith stuff, but depth is going to matter, and I really remain interested. Some ads that they may make from a couple of these other teams when they decide to cut some veterans and some younger players that may have some pop as well.
Absolutely. Now to wrap this up, Ryan, I only have a couple more questions for you. But the first one I'm going to get to you. Alex Erickson and Dax Milne were 2 of the unsung heroes yesterday. They linked up with Sam Howell a lot, and those guys are going to be questioned to be possibly making the roster. Those guys are on the bubble, and they're almost like fighting with each other. So what did you see out of those 2 wide receivers, and do you think that they have a chance to really make the team?
Yeah, I know relationships matter in this league, and I know that wide receiver 6 spot right now is between Milne and Erickson and Markin Michelle and even Kyrick McGowan a little bit. But I like what Dax Milne did, even on teams. Alex Erickson, I know he's kind of that sure-handed guy like with New England when Gunnar Olszewski was their returner, just a guy that will catch punts. But I want somebody that can create a little juice. And I'm not asking for Brandon Banks. I'm not asking for Dante Hall. I can't believe I just used those 2 in the same sentence.
But hey, hold it off. Yeah.
But DeAndre Carter had a lot of pop last year on special teams and was able to flip the field. We talk about Tressway being able to flip the field. You got to have some pop on the other side. And I liked what Dax Milne did, especially, not just on offense, but on teams and creating. And we heard all through camp. He's got sure hands. He can create a little bit of juice on the outside. He creates separation in his routes and breaking off his stems inside, outside. It doesn't matter what quarterback he's working with. So wide receiver 6 spot right now looks to be a punt returner. And for me, I would even have Dax Milne a little bit ahead Alex Erickson, and Dax would make my roster.
Absolutely. And now one of the other questions I have for you, offensive line. I thought Andrew Norwell, the new acquisition that they got from Jacksonville, looked really good. What did you think of the first string offensive line?
Yeah, John Matsko, offensive line coach, and I talk about it on my pod a lot, but I might as well just get a tattoo of this guy on my arm. It doesn't matter who's in there. It could be us 4 along
Kyle has
the
his
front
face
5,
on his
and
back.
he's just going to get us right. It's just consistently, but no, jokes aside, the bodies were moving forward in the run game, displacing bodies, and Panthers got some big athletes in front of the front 4. Now, Derek Brown wasn't playing, right? That's a big body within the interior. But just as a whole, I mean, you got Andrew Norwell. I like what Charles Leno was able to do. Sam Cosmi, I think he's going to be one of the best tackles, young tackles in the league as he moves into year 2. Hopefully, knock on wood, he can stay healthy. But I was thoroughly impressed with the front 5 from start to finish. I'm not asking you. Listen to Doc Walker. I wasn't at the game on Saturday.
Awesome, wasn't it?
It's awesome. It's just hard-nosed, gritty football and winning within the trenches.
He was getting excited when Carolina was running the ball.
Right, and then when we're on defense, he was mad that we gave up a yard.
Dude, I absolutely. That was my favorite part, Ryan. They get a 1-yard carry, and Doc saying it's too much for me.
It's crazy, but no, the front 5. Chris Paul, the rookie out of Tulsa.
Yeah,
I had my doubts about him moving into the year from what I saw on film. Looked great. He looked great, strong, just displaced bodies, get guys out of the way. I love it. I love the front 5, and again, John Matsko. Tip of the cap. Every single time we see the offensive line, we're gonna have expectations for the front 5 this year. It's a veteran front 5, and that's great for Carson Wentz. Allow him to keep his eyes on the second and third level downfield. And just John Matsko, man, he just gets everybody right. Doesn't matter who's in there. They look really good. Really, really happy with the front 5.
Matsko is like what Bill Callahan was supposed to be.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I used to argue
pumping
with
up
Reed
Bill
all the
Callahan
time
for
about
years.
Callahan.
Yeah, I know. I would do it all the time too.
Last
Read
one
it on the internet. Must be true.
This is a very complex and question for you, Ryan. Last one I have for you. X's and O's. You're the perfect guy for this. The white uniforms. I mean, they looked great on Saturday, didn't they? What did you think?
Ooh, they look clean.
Got a good response too on NFL's Instagram.
Yeah, I just I love the uniforms in the past. But in the burgundy and gold color scheme is still, non-biased opinion, is still the coolest in the NFL. But man, the whites look better on humans moving around than just mannequins, right?
Those limp mannequins that were way too skinny to be football players
Right.
with the limp, strong hands and stuff. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, man, they look good. And I can't wait to see the blacks. And, man, they look really good. The matte helmets, the W is still a little edgy for me, but we'll get there. We start winning games, nobody's going to care.
Right. Wait until they start mixing and matching with the pants.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that yet in person. It's going to look good.
Yeah.
It's going to look great. Ryan, yes, sir.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Ryan, I can't thank you enough for taking some time out and being able to talk some ball with us, sir. This was fantastic as always. Before we get out of here, if you just like to plug your social media handles, just in case anybody watching doesn't follow you yet and would like to come watch your work.
Yeah, all my written work is housed at the draftnetwork.com. My Twitter is _Ryan Fowler. And then check out my podcast, All Things Burgundy and Gold. It's Commanding the Huddle, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, you can find me at. So,
absolutely. And Ryan's one of the most knowledgeable Washington fans, but he also does not hold any. He doesn't hold punches. He lets it rip. Ryan, I can't thank you enough, sir. Have a great night, sir. Enjoy your week.
Yeah, appreciate you guys.
Until next time, brother. Have a good one.
All righty.
All right, everybody. We just spoke with Ryan Fowler of the Draft Network. That was fantastic.
He's awesome. First of all, Draft Network. Top of the line. Love that website. Also, Ryan, he came on like the day after the draft, or it was that right after the draft was completed. That's a pretty harsh words for, like Fedarian Mathis, like he said. And he was like, look, man, I was excited to see him. He was like, that was just right after the draft. We all were talking about it, but I was pumped to see Mathis, and I was excited.
Yeah, me too. And look, we have a great guest coming up lined up for us at 5 o'clock. I'm not 100% sure if they're going to show up, but if they do, we're very excited. But let's get into our fan questions to kind of recap this game from Saturday, because I want to get your guys' thoughts. We weren't together. We didn't watch it together. We didn't really recap at all. So I want to be able to do that here for this show. So you guys at home, you are in for a treat.
Me and Hall were together.
Yeah.
This question is from the
No.
Colonel.
But not like
Spiritually.
watching the game. We
Yeah,
were
not
just
watching the game.
together.
Yeah,
like-
you were just spooning.
Love. Our
Reed
hearts
was the
were
Reed was
together.
the small spoon. I already
I
know.
always am. It's weird. I'm 6'2", 220, and I'm always the little spoon. That doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. But Hall, I want to go to you with this question from the
Personality thing.
Colonel. What are your impressions of the final wide receiver roster spot battle? I thought both Milne and Erickson looked solid on Saturday.
Yeah. Like we were just talking about, Ryan said that Dax, when he comes out of his breaks, he just like it looks like he just has a little bit more pop in his like a little bit more pep in his step, a little bit more twitch, a little more quickness. Obviously, Erickson's been in the league for a little bit while now, a little bit up there in age compared to Milne. But I just think that as of right now, obviously it's only one game, but I want to see Milne to see what he can do on the punt return as well. Give him a shot back there, kick return as well. But yeah, I definitely think if it came down to it right now, I'd have to lean towards Milne being the sixth guy. But again, it's still early, still 2 more preseason games, a couple more weeks of camp. We'll see where it goes. But if I had to put money on it, I would definitely say it's Milne.
Yeah, even though Erickson had the better stat line with 2 receptions for 56 yards from Sam Howell, Dax Milne 2 catches for 30 yards. He, especially that first pass from Howell, which was an out route, it was on a rope, and Milne had to stretch out for it, caught it cleanly. And that was that kind of play that got the offense generating in that drive, right? And I do think Milne has the upper hand as of now. I know Erickson brings that kind of leadership, but Milne is a draft pick by this franchise. He offers that special teams ability. But you saw with Milne what he can do. He could be that piece, that asset for a quarterback to come in and be able to catch the football when needed. I thought his connection with Sam Howell is what sparked a lot of those drives, and I think that deserves him to be able to have that roster spot ahead of Erickson at the moment. But look, we still got 2 more games, 2 more weeks, a couple more weeks to go here in practice. Obviously, Erickson looked really good in that one pass from Sam Howell. They got called back to a really weird penalty on the running back.
Yeah,
but besides, that was really good performance out of those 2 guys.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be fast. You guys pretty much hit the nail on the head. So I'm just talking because I just want to say this joke. I've said it like every week for like the last month, but like I want to see Milne steal this roster spot like he stole Zach Wilson's girl. On to you, Kyle.
Absolutely. This next question from the Colonel. Reed, when did the Commanders hire the former Steelers marketing director? First, the black and gold unis that look like Steelers uniforms. Now they're issuing terrible towels at the first FedEx game. WTF?
No, I feel you on that, man. When I first showed my old boss the black jerseys, the black alternates the day they were released, the first thing he said, he was like, man, look like the Steelers. And I wanted to just be like, just they're black and yellow, I guess, but nah, dude. No, but I get what you're saying. The terrible towels thing too.
Dude.
I mean, they do that. Unfortunately, a lot of teams will do that, but yeah, I mean, I guess they're just trying to get them hype. Fortunately, if you go back and watch Pittsburgh's highlights, they had a packed stadium until the 4th quarter, man. I mean, granted, they did have a rookie first round pick quarterback to watch play 3rd game win a touchdown pass who has very tiny hands, but our stadium looked like a high school football game, and that's how it is. Until week 1, I guarantee regular season people will show up. I don't even know what I'm talking about, but they will.
They will, especially with the UK boys coming over. It's going to be such a great time when they come over for week 1. But now this next question is from the Discord chat server Hall. This is from Yamstarch. How can the D improve their terrible 3rd down status?
Is he frozen?
Yeah, it looks like he's frozen.
I'm not frozen anymore.
How can the defense improve their 3rd down status, Hall?
I think it's just, Colonel doesn't have Twitter, but it's just what everyone's been saying for the past 2 years now, that even going back a couple years now, but on 3rd and whatever, 3rd and short, 3rd and long, whatever it might be, the cornerbacks are always playing off. We just heard Ryan talk about it. If you got the guys up front that you know that can get the job done, you got guys that like to get up in your face, get physical, like William Jackson is a good man coverage guy. Kendall Cole is a guy like to get up in your face, get physical. Let them play on the line. Let them, like Benjamin St. Juice, a long arm guy, can definitely jam you at the line. Let them be physical and get in your face and kind of disrupt the timing with the quarterback, which would lead to maybe some more 3 and outs or maybe some missed 3rd downs. But when it's 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, and you're already 7 to 10 yards off the ball playing a wide receiver, I mean, that's just a pitch and catch 7-on-7 for a quarterback in the NFL. So I just think that I'm not really going to go too crazy about it because it's the first preseason game. and you can obviously make some adjustments. I know next week there's going to be like the dress rehearsal, so we'll see what they do there, especially against Kansas City. So yeah, I just want to see them play a little bit more closer to the line, play a little bit more physical at the line as far as like the wide receivers go and the cornerbacks. But they definitely got to get it together because, like you said, I remember at one point I was writing it down. They were 7 for 10 giving up third downs, and like first team, second team, third team, it doesn't matter. That's just straight up unacceptable, no matter what starter, what level of like starter or player you are. So definitely got to clean that up.
Yeah, like the one I cannot stand if you give up a 3rd and 3 on the ground. As a defender, you should be salivating at the fact that the offense wants to run the ball on 3rd and 3 because you should be
You got to get
concerned
9 feet. That's a
about the
long
pass.
way.
You know what I mean? And so you should be salivating at that. And so them being able to get yardage on third down through the ground is dreadful. But I think it's sending more pressure, Yam Starch. That's how they can fix the issue because a lot of the times they're banking on the front four to be able to create pressure fast enough to where they have the extra help in the back end to where, you could get a turnover. But the issue is becoming that the pass rush is getting there and the quarterback is escaping, creating more time. And when you give more time to a wide receiver, they're in the professional leagues, they're going to create space. They're going to be open. And so that's where it kind of ruins you. Whereas if you're aggressive, if you're in their face, if you're blitzing 5 to 6 guys almost every third down, you are creating doubt. You are creating nervousness and in the quarterback's mind, and that can kind of throw them off. That one time that you don't send pressure, maybe he does get it out faster, and that ruins that third down attempt. So I do think it's the aggression, but I'm not going to sit here and try to nitpick Jack Del Rio's the first preseason game. It's just them being one of the worst teams in the league last year on third down and seeing its face again in the first preseason game with the first team, that was concerning. It really was, and they got to pick their stuff up. So hopefully they're able to work on the miscommunication because that first 3rd down and 4, Jamin Davis follows the crosser, then Cam Curl follows the crosser, which opens up a huge hole for the crossing wide receiver underneath of them, which goes for a 15-yard gain.
Yeah,
That's the type of miscommunication that cannot happen, and you cannot allow that to happen. So hopefully they work on it and have it fixed by week 1.
Can't have Sam Darnold throwing touchdowns on you. That's
Right,
just like the ultimate
That was a good
disrespect.
throw by Sam. I
It
will say
it was a good throw
because he threw that ball before that guy was open.
Oh, it was a great throw and a great catch. I'm just saying, like
You're right.
It's
You're
Sam
right,
Darnold.
though.
Yeah.
You're right.
To kind of add on to some of that too. I mean, you guys talking about the on-field play. I'm just going to talk about from a mental aspect. I mean, Hall, like you talk about them playing off. They were the worst pass defense in the NFL last year. Maybe. I mean, I know these guys are pros, so I'm probably going to dive too far into it, but they need to get some confidence, man. A lot of that, like you said, Kyle's going to start with pressure. Once they can kind of get into an offense's head and an offense is legitimately scared of this defensive line and they don't want to test these corners like that, it's really going to help out. And I do think that that'll happen this season because I think our defensive line is going to unleash hell, and I think that our corners have a year in the system. They're too talented to really keep doing that. So once they come up and start playing on the receiver, if that's what Del Rio wants them to do, they're going to be like, all right, come on, but we're not scared to give it the big play. We got you guys. And you're going to start to see some momentum turn around. They're going to start playing with swagger, baby.
Swagger. All right, now, Reed, let's keep this next question with you. This is from Andy Lockhart in the Discord chat server. Oi! After Sam Howell's showing, do you think he is our next franchise guy at quarterback?
I think he's making the Hall of Fame. I think, obviously, like we talked about, he was going against third string guys and people who aren't going to make a team. But at the same time, those are also the guys that are going to be trying their hardest in these games because they need to make the team. So I like it. Of course, it was very Manila defense. It was very Manila play calling on offense, but gotta love what you saw from him. I mean, you saw exactly what you saw in college. You saw him have poise. He made some fantastic plays, escaping the rush with his legs, of course, obviously. I mean, he ran the ball fantastic, and he made some nice, accurate throws. He had some that, of course, you wish you could have back, but every quarterback does. All you can ask for is that he continues to progress. Is he going to be the next guy? It's kind of tough to tell after one preseason game where he was going in there as the third-string quarterback. But I like where your head's at. And if he does pan out, man, if he becomes a starter for us, similar to Dak was, a third-round pick? It became their starter. Obviously, that was year 1. But if he does eventually, then you can never, ever be disappointed if you get a franchise quarterback or a starting quarterback in the middle rounds of the draft. You know what I'm saying? So I hope so. That would be awesome.
Yes.
Doubtful, but I would love it.
Sam Howell didn't start out great. The first two
No, he
drives
didn't.
were
That's
kind of
true.
lull, and then the third drive is what really started kicking things up when he started finding these guys downfield like Bonifant, and obviously going down and finding the wide receivers that Alex Erickson, Dax Milne. That was really cool, but the spin out of he constantly throughout that game
Yeah.
was trying to get out of pressure, and you could kind of see that obviously Sam Howell is a smaller guy, but that's how it benefits you in a way. And the
way
Colonel,
he's built
yeah,
too.
the
was
Colonel
helping him
texted
get
me
out of
on
tackles.
Sunday,
Yeah.
and he was like, dude, Sam Howell looked like Russell Wilson. And I can't disagree. Not saying that he is going to be Russell or he's as
No.
talented as Russell,
Right.
but he did look like Russell Wilson out there, creating plays with his feet, breaking ankles out there, firing cannons out to Dax Milne, and being able to navigate out of the pocket, find a receiver downfield, which goes for 56 yards. That was awesome to see.
Yeah.
Do I think he's a franchise guy? Not sure. With just one preseason game going against the third string. But that's why I've said I think Sam deserves the chance to go against the second team against the Chiefs. And no disrespect to Taylor Heineke. I love Taylor Heineke. But Taylor squabbled that opportunity. And so he has to be able to go against a third team. If he plays well, great. If Sam Howell takes a step back, then swap him for the third game. But we need to find out who our backup quarterback is, because when Taylor Heineke came in the game, it did not look great. I will say that right now.
Real fast, Hall, before you go, it was interesting to see Sam Howell, and you could really see with his physical tools, even though you're right, he's not the biggest, but you could really see why he was so coveted coming out of high school. You could see why, I mean, just last year at this point, he was supposed to be a number one pick or close to it. So, I mean, it was interesting to see his physical tools from somebody who was drafted in the 5th round.
Yeah, definitely. Do I think he's the next franchise guy? Like you guys said, way too early to tell, but
yes.
But I mean, most likely he'll be a 15-year starter here and will win multiple Super Bowls.
He's gonna break every record, I heard.
Nah, but I mean, look, he's a guy that was talking about being a number one overall pick just 2 years ago. So did he come out and light it up? No, I think he was like 9 for 16, which is like 56% completion percentage, which obviously you definitely got to pick that up, get it up to like the low mid 60s, somewhere around there. But do you like what you see? Are you encouraged? Of course, he's definitely mobile, can scrim out the pocket, make plays. But like I said, this guy was talked about as being a number one overall pick just 2 years ago. Came back to school, had a down year, and went to the 5th round. So I kind of expected him to come out there and look the way that he did, to kind of make plays, because he's going against guys that, I mean, in all honesty, when he was in college, not even on the same level of like college player that he was. So I kind of expected him to go out there and kind of look like the best player on the field when he was on the field. So in all, like I said, at this point, I don't even think that he could oversee Taylor Heineke at this point. Like, I know Taylor came out there and looked bad, but Taylor's been there, done that. He's played in actual games before. I think Sam Howell still needs all the reps, like a little bit more reps. But on the flip side of that, when he had talent around him in college, he was talked about as the number one overall pick. He was putting up crazy numbers. Then the talent left. He kind of had a little bit of a down year. So I do kind of want to see what he looks like with an upgrade of talent other than the third string guys around him.
Yeah, I got you. But that's one of my arguments with Taylor, because his arm strength limits what they're going to call with play calls, and that's the one element where with Scott Turner, if you're going to have the backup come in, you don't want to have to adjust the game plan. You want to call the same thing, and that's where like Taylor kind of screws things up a bit, and that's why I believe that if Sam Howell progresses fast enough, looks great enough, they might have to make that difficult decision and saying, we need another tight end, we need another offensive lineman because of these injuries. Should we keep Taylor here? Because Sam Howell's proven enough. And I do agree with that in that breath. But I've said for so long, for you to find a franchise quarterback, you have to get lucky. The Bills got lucky. Like you have to get lucky.
Cowboys got lucky twice.
And there's a very good chance.
Free agent and then
very good chance the Commanders got lucky in the 5th round this year, which would make me very happy. But Hall, let's keep this next question with you. This is from Big Tony Shivers. He celebrated his daughter's birthday on Saturday.
Hey, happy birthday.
Belated happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
He asks, didn't catch the game, so how did the first and second team offensive line look, Hall?
Yeah, we talked about Masco. I mean, literally, Coach Masco can get, like Ryan said, us 4 out there, and we probably look like a suitable NFL offensive line. They were moving guys. They were there was a little bit of pressures here and there, but Carson moved around in the pocket, navigated the pocket well. There was a couple of plays where the guys were getting beat, like blown back off the ball. But again, it wasn't the full string of like the starters out there. I don't think Chase was out there. I don't think Trey Turner was out there if he's going to be the
Nope.
starter or not.
He was
So I wanted to but all in all, I would give them a solid, probably like a B minus, something like that. Did a great job. Got to build off that going to the next game. Obviously, Kansas City has Chris Jones coming in, so he's a game wrecker. I want to see how they handle him, but I definitely like offensive line is one of those things that I'm not really that worried about because, like we talked about, Coach Matsko can get third, fourth, fifth string guys in there and play up to their highest potential. So, all in all, I like what they got going forward.
That's why. Remember when people were talking about taking like a left tackle at number 11 for the draft like a few weeks before, and it was just like, guys, I get it, like that's a sexy position, but we got Leno, and we don't need one compared to some of these other positions. It's
right.
just dumb. People are stupid.
I thought the first and second team offensive line looked great. There was one play where Andrew Norwell is like pulled from the right to the left, and he absolutely clobbers number 90 on Carolina, drives him to the ground, and as he's driving him to the ground, he's like throws an elbow on his helmet on his chin, which is obviously within the rules. It was just he fell, right? He slipped. But it was I liked what I saw. They kept him upright. And then with Brian Robinson, you saw what consistent running can do for you. And I've said this so many times, the red zone efficiency rate, that the converting points is tied with running the football in the red zone. If you can only throw the football in the red zone, teams are going to play you in zone, and they're going to probably pick you off a couple times, or you're going to be kicking a lot of field goals. If you could run the ball down their throat, then your entire playbook is open. And we saw that with Brian Robinson, that the offense looked great, and the offensive line did a good job of creating those holes for him. I'm not sure if that was still their first team defense when they scored that touchdown. Not 100% sure about that, but they did a great job in being able to protect Carson Wentz and protecting Taylor Heineke. I thought Chris Paul, he was a guy who jumped out at me. I thought he did a very good job at run blocking for the second team, but it's all kind of the second team offensive line is kind of overshadowed by Taylor Heineke's performance, but overall, I thought the offensive line was very, very good.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you guys. So,
Now this next question, Reed. This one's from Jeff Miles.
Hey, there he is, the artist, the king artist.
There we go. Seeing the white unis in person, have you changed your mind at all?
So I was somebody, when the white unis first came out, I was kind of critical of them, but just because I thought that the numbers, the going in and out of the color scheme, I thought it was kind of cheesy. I thought it was like Walmart style almost, like something that you would see on like a stupid little champion jersey or like a FUBU jersey from back in the day. Shout out FUBU. But they looked amazing, and it wasn't just us. Like it was, if you go on NFL's Instagram page, they posted a video of Carson Wentz, and it said of him warming up, and it was like, so guys, how do we feel about the Commanders' new threads? And it was like, lowest fire, you raise the fire bar, and literally, if you just go read it, like the first 10 comments are everybody like, not gonna lie, these are low-key fire as hell. Like I'm not, and it was different fans. It wasn't even Commanders fans, so that was cool to see. Of course, there's gonna be people hating. There always are, but they looked damn good, man. I'm telling you. We talked about it a little before, man, but I'm pretty sure that it was just the world's worst mannequins that they used. Like, go back and look at those videos and those pictures of the mannequins. Those mannequins look stupid. They look like they just got off Survivor, and they were putting on, like, it just didn't make sense. They were way too skinny. Their hands were all elongated, like their fingers. Like, I don't know. I didn't trust it, to be completely honest with you, but it looked weird. It was baggy, and you just use, I don't know, somebody normal size, somebody who's not cutting weight for a movie role like Christian Bale. Let's just,
it looked like like
Crews.
when you were like it looked like when you're in high school and like there's like the little ninth grader on the field that's like
yes,
you can
exactly.
clearly tell he's like the worst one on the team,
right?
And he's just like everything is just like way overfit on him. It's just like
when
what are you wearing? Why are you out there?
When they first showed him, I remember I messaged Jason Wright on Twitter, and I was like, Jason, you got to go up there with some scissors. There's a string hanging down from the sleeves. And he was like, oh, no, that's their arms. And I was like, Jesus Christ, those things are skinny. That's a true story, too. That actually happened.
Absolutely stupid. Now, when I first started out, Jeff, I thought the whites were the worst ones of the three of the Burgundy.
They always are, brother.
I thought the blacks were the first. I absolutely loved them in my favorite jersey. But
now, brother.
Now the whites are the second. I think they're the 2 seed for me, and the burgundies are third, which is crazy to say because I really like the burgundy jerseys, but the white is just so clean. It feels like forever ago that everyone was complaining about the red in the jersey, saying it looked way too red, like a light-colored red, when in reality it is burgundy, especially when you see it out in person like that. It looked beautiful, and I'm glad that everyone kind of caught on to it. Just wait till they see the black uniforms in prime time, baby.
Right, and it's just like life, baby. Black's number one. White's number 2, and the natives number 3. This podcast is sponsored by Monster.
Paul, what did you think of the white uniform seen in person
man.
live?
Yeah, I mean, I was always like a guy like I knew they're gonna look different because they were on mannequins, so I knew they would look different with like everyone's like little like swag and what they added to like their uniform to kind of like make themselves like look better on the field. So I wasn't surprised that they looked that good on the field. I know people, like you said, were tripping about like it's not the same burgundy. It's off. Even if it is like slightly like 1% away from like the original burgundy, they're still fire. The white on whites are fire, and the all burgundy. We're gonna see that, I guess, maybe next week. Hopefully, I don't know. But I want to see what the black ones look like. Obviously, the all black uniforms, but I definitely think that all 3 of them are fire, and I can't wait to see the other 2 in person.
I'm just pumped that we're wearing the black uniforms twice now.
Yep.
So remember, at first it was only once. Now it's 2 times in a month, baby.
I'm glad that they made that move because
I will say also when they have that that white out, I think it's week 4 against Dallas.
No, week 17, yeah, or it's last week of the season, isn't it?
Week 4 is in Dallas.
Yeah. Is it?
Yeah. So it's the last game of the season.
Oh yeah, so yeah, the last week of the season. So hopefully we're in contention then. But if that's the case, those white jerseys in the middle of December,
especially if it's
late
snowing.
December, that's what I'm saying. Like,
good luck finding us.
Got the whole winter vibe out there. The whole stadium just like whited out. Even though I know Dallas wears white too, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Now this next question from Jeff Miles. Reed, I'm gonna go to you first. How do you feel about Curtis Samuel actually getting some play?
Love that for him. Love it. Because we've been worried about him. I mean, how could you not be after last season? And look, I'm pretty sure he played more snaps on Saturday than he did all last season. So that's always a good sign. And they tried to get him the ball. They tried to get him the ball on the screen. And it's just good to see Curtis out there because he's missed so much time that you want to get him in game shape. And the way to get him in game shape is to make him play games. But you don't want to play him too much because he's got that nagging injury and you don't want him to get hurt. So I like what they're doing, and I hope that they keep it up, and hopefully he can just stay healthy.
Yeah, I loved how Scott Turner on the second play of the game for the offense came out with the screen to Curtis Samuel, and we heard Ryan Fowler earlier talking about Jahan Dotson's block on that play, and it was great. You could make a point about saying maybe he shouldn't have lost the block, but it still kept the defender away from Curtis to the point where he could get upfield for 5 yards.
The fact he looks like one of those mannequins, though, and still got in the way, shout out.
And then I thought it was great when Curtis Samuel executed a first down on third down, and he runs an in and out, and they ran Curtis Hodges right next to him running a corner route. So Curtis Hodges essentially creates a natural pick route. And so Curtis Samuel gets the outside and Carson Wentz hits him right on the numbers so Curtis can get upfield and getting the first down. I love to see that chemistry building between Curtis Samuel and Carson Wentz. I still have zero expectations for Curtis Samuel. I think he looked really, really good out there, but I'm just glad that the way that he looked with Carson, even though Carson, that first pass on the screen pass, it was behind him. Curtis had to turn around. You're really testing everything with Curtis early on, and I was glad to see that. And I'm very intrigued by what Curtis brings to this offense because he's fast, man. He's electric, and when he's actually able to run a bunch of snaps and not taking off the field in preseason, I think you're going to see a lot different of Curtis Samuel.
Yeah, I was happy to see him out there, like you guys like talked about. Got him a couple of touches with the football. Didn't like really move him around like chess piece. Like obviously it's preseason, not gonna put everything out there on film in week 1 preseason. But I'm just really concerned. I was really worried about, or more worried about, like how did he feel on Sunday, the next day, like when he woke up? Is he going to be practicing today when he was out there? So he was out there today.
Yep.
All the reporters said he was out there doing full drills. He looked fast. Everything was good to go, and they were lining him up all over the field, like kind of like that dynamic chess piece in 7-on-7s and 11-on-11. So really, I'm just like happy to hear that he was a full go today, full participant, and I'm sure they'll probably sit him tomorrow, like light work him tomorrow. But look, they say they have a plan. Obviously, it seems like the plan is working so far, and let's just see how it goes. Week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, and all the way to week 18. But yeah, if we can get him on the field and keep him healthy for majority of the season, I definitely think that completely turns his offense like inside out as far as like the dynamic piece that he can be.
Right. And now this next question from the Discord chat server is from Scott Hartley in the UK. Oi! After game 1 in the preseason, Hall, is there now a bubble guy you are rooting for to make the roster? He said number 16 Parker stood out and he hopes he earns a spot.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say Parker. He was really the guy I didn't know much about other than he's one of the USFL guys, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I just knew he was
pretty
from the
sure.
USFL. So definitely like that he definitely flashed on the screen multiple times. Had the hit on PJ Walker, had a couple tackles. It was just like I said, just flashed on the screen. A lot of people were like, "Who's number 16? Who's number 16?" Well, he made a name for himself a little bit. So hopefully going forward, he keeps up the hard work. And I mean, even if he makes the practice squad, that's definitely like a positive for a guy that just came from the USFL. So definitely want to see more of Stephen Parker.
Jeremy Reeves had a sack on Saturday late in that game. I thought he played well in that time, and I think that he's a guy that made a name for himself by getting that sack. And he was around there for that dang near interception that Percy Butler had that went right through his hands. So he's always around the ball. Obviously, Jeremy could get better, but I think Jeremy's just always around the ball, and he's just making plays in some capacity. Obviously, he has his limitations, but I like Jeremy Reeves, man. I think that if he continues to be productive like this, that he's going to earn himself a spot. What do you think, Reed?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I agree with both of you guys. Obviously, I wanted to go Parker as well. I can kind of see him falling into this little preseason crush that we all have, and he's earned it. He played fantastic. Hopefully, he can keep that up. But also Daniel Wise. Daniel Wise played pretty well when he was out there. So, but this defensive line's so loaded that it's going to be tough to make the team. But he's somebody that I'm definitely find myself cheering for.
Absolutely. Now let's wrap this up with our questions from Twitter, guys. Reed, I'm going to go to you first. This is from Tony Franchise. Who impressed you the most during the game, and who was the biggest surprise?
Okay, so to impress me the most, man, I know there's an easy one, but I'm gonna go Brian Robinson. I expected him to be good. I think that the circumstances that he found himself in was probably not what anybody expected, not what anybody hoped for, because we all love Antonio Gibson, and the worst thing that he could have done was fumble, and it happened. So what do you know? But he came out there, man. He looked good. He looked natural. That's all we've heard all off season is how smooth he looks, how fluid he is. He's got good hips, great hips. And then of course Parker as well. Parker was my biggest surprise. I think that he was everywhere, man. If you just watch that third and fourth quarter, that second half, you will see number 16 show up a lot.
Yeah, and I think for me, the biggest surprise is Keith Ishmael. Ryan Fowler talked about it earlier. He started that game at center, and they were obviously productive. You didn't see him getting destroyed a whole lot. It didn't come out like as a blooper reel or anything. And it was obviously up there on that goal line, being able to get that touchdown for Brian Robinson. So I think Keith Ishmael in his third year really showing that he's capable of being on this roster, even though he was a fourth center on the roster last year, really proving himself that he could play in this league against some quality professionals. Keith Ishmael by far.
I'm actually going to spin it the other way. I was surprised. Biggest surprise was Antonio Gibson, and it's not in like in a positive way.
Right.
I know that off season he was working on his ball control and handling. He got a little bit more lean, so he can make it like a little more agile and stuff like that. So for him to come out second carry of the game,
Keep going.
Second carry of the game, put it on the ground after he's been working on that all off season and trying to get better at it. Definitely surprised that happened. So it's kind of like, and you already know that's my guy. So I'm like, come on, AG, you got to get that together. But biggest, what was the other one again?
Surprise.
Yeah. Oh, biggest surprise. I guess on the positive side would be, I gotta say Curtis Samuel, just because everyone made such a big deal about, oh, he's not gonna play, it's such a bad signing, blah blah blah. He got out there, had a couple plays, touched the ball a couple times, and like I just talked about earlier, recovered well and is back out there practicing again today. So definitely a good surprise on that side of things.
I'll tell you real fast who surprised me the most, and it's not the football player in this picture. It's a good friend of the show and my best friend, Mr. LP Logan Paulson. And if you look closely, the thing that surprised me the most about him, look at his microphone hand, the elbow. That's a sweatband that he was wearing.
My man.
The guy had a sweatband
That's how you know
on
he's
the
a gamer.
sidelines. He was such a gamer.
No, I will say that I know I
they
said
needed some tight ends. Maybe he was about to throw the pads back on.
Oh, yeah, he doesn't have that tight of an end anymore, though.
But I was the biggest. Who I was the most impressed by was obviously Keith Ishmael. The biggest surprise, Taylor Heineke. I'm a huge Taylor guy, but he did not look as like he should have going against the second team. I thought that he would have been a lot more effective in that breath. Now the next question that we have is from AZ Commander. Thank you, sir. Reed, I'm gonna go to you first. Is it time for the Commanders to kick the tires on Landon Collins and think about bringing him back? I'm feeling that it is, but the fact other teams don't seem to have an interest is making me question myself. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, man. We've talked about the Landon Collins situation before, and I really think a lot of it has to do with the fact that Landon is just straight up like, I'm a safety. You're playing me. I want to be paid like a safety. I want to be called a safety. And every coach in the NFL right now is like, okay, maybe after preseason we'll give you a go, but you're linebacker, sir. That's what you are. You linebacker. Okay.
Landon when he's in the car with his wife, he's like, "Call me a
Yeah.
safety, baby."
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. They role play and stuff, and he's like, "I'll do anything but be a linebacker, I swear." But I'll tell you what, he is not landing anywhere with that attitude.
Ooh.
Change some things, buddy.
Ooh,
Yeah, no, I like Landon, and I hope that he does land somewhere. If not here, of course, he played fantastic last year. But yeah, I mean, dude, get it checked out. Get an ego. Go see a psychiatrist about this because that's not normal to not want to play the position that you're literally playing.
Yeah, I do think it would probably be smart just to bring him in as a depth piece, especially being that he's versatile, right? You know, you saw what kind of Jared Mayo in the passing game, his limitations, and he's more beneficial to the team when he's running downhill, trying to stop the run, wrapping up tacklers. When you get him out in space, that's when he kind of gets uncomfortable. Landon, he's not great out in space, but he's better than Jared Mayo, and I don't think that's any disrespect at all to Jared. I'm just saying that, but obviously there's a reason why Landon's still at home and other teams haven't gotten his services, right? So I would love for him to come here, but there's obviously a reason for everything, and I wouldn't hate the move because we need the depth.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate it, but I'm kind of like a mixture of what you guys both said. I definitely think that he's telling his agent, yeah.
Oh, your audio went out.
Real fast, David Mayo. I went to school with a guy named David Mayo, except my David Mayo was in a wheelchair, so I don't think it's.
Did I call
I don't
him
think
Jared Mayo?
No,
Yeah,
you
I
didn't.
did.
You called him David, but my David Mayo was in a wheelchair. But I don't even think my David Mayo was necessarily crippled. I don't think his parents just ever taught him how to walk. I think that's what it was. That's why he was in a wheelchair.
I
his
hope
whole
that's a
life.
big
It's
because we went to the
horrible
same
over there.
school.
Well, I mean, but then you transferred to Clarksburg, and Daddy stayed at Damascus.
Yeah, you're
And
right. Now let's go to our next question. Hall, I'll go to you first. This is from Command Central Podcast. How do you think Sam Howell did on Saturday, and do you think he'll continue to do the same thing on Saturday and the rest of the preseason?
Yeah. Well, first I thought he did great. Like I said, he was talked about as a former number one overall pick. Talked about being the number one overall pick. So definitely thought that he would come out there and look like the best player on the field when he was on the field. And for majority of the time, he definitely looked like that guy. Going forward, we'll see. Like we got to see what he does against a better level of competition of a team, which is the Chiefs and obviously the Ravens, who are like a 21, 22 game win streak.
21. Yeah.
So if he comes out there and puts up, gets his completion percentage up against the Chiefs, looks a little bit more crisp in the passing game.
Some blue, baby.
I mean, he did go to North Carolina. They are blue.
True.
If you look a little bit more crisp in the passing game, then I'll be like, okay, maybe we got something here. And then if he comes out against that final preseason game against the Ravens, he'll probably get a lot of playing time in that game. If he does his thing again and stays the course, I definitely think that I'm not going to go as far as saying like we have our guy, we have like the future, but I definitely think that he's on the good things, the positive things. If not the guy, I definitely think he can be a better Taylor Heineke, which is like a spot starter, kind of maybe a bridge guy, find the next guy. But all in all, definitely like what he's doing. I like what he's showing, and hope he keeps it up.
Yeah, I loved what I saw out of Sam Howell on Saturday. He brought an energy that was infectious to the rest of the team, to the stadium. You could feel it when you're watching the game. I loved what he did. Now, last week when I talked to Awad on 910 The Fan in Richmond, I said, I wanted to see
what a name drop.
I wanted to see what Sam Howell did
Damn.
without Diami Brown. I wanted to see how he was able to do it without that piece that he's comfortable with. After seeing how well he did Command Central, I think that he should be able to get those second squad snaps this week. I want to see him with Diami Brown now and going against tougher competition, not the third stringers. I want to see him going against possibly backups there, and if he continues to do well, then keep him there. And that's my personal opinion. He showed out. Now, if Taylor balls out in the third team, then make the switch. But I think he did really, really well. And if Sam Howell continues to play as the third team quarterback, I do expect his performance to continue. I do expect for him to do well against his third teamers and showing that he is dominant, without a doubt.
I don't want him to be too well.
Yeah, I heard
Carson Wentz gets all panicky whenever guys are on his shoulder.
Yep.
So
yeah, I heard the word AWOD and automatically fell asleep. I'm just kidding. I love A-Wad. He's a nice guy. Shout out to his family.
Absolutely. Now, this next question, this one is from Commander OC Hall. This is a fantasy question. James Robinson or Rashad Penny?
I'm gonna go with James Robinson just because I know James Robinson's coming off the injury, but
Dude, your audio went out again?
That never happens twice.
Never.
In one app.
That close together. What do you think, Reed?
Well,
In
I'm
fantasy,
just kidding. What if I did too? No, I'm gonna go with it. You know what? And look, I'm probably gonna regret this, but I'm going Brian Robinson too. I'm pushing all my chips in on Brian Robinson. I'm talking.
you mean James Robinson?
James Robinson. Who did I say?
Brian Robinson.
Yeah, it is Brian Robinson. It's Brian Robinson. Oh, James. I thought we were talking about Brian Robinson, the Commander's guy. Never mind. I don't know what I'm talking about at this point. I'm so excited about him.
I do think James Robinson is the better running back. I had him last season, and look,
Etienne's a 3-down back though. They're playing him like a 3-down back.
That's fine, but apparently it's been rumored. I follow the Jaguars, and James Robinson is still getting starter reps. And I totally look. I think that's the guy you want to go with. I don't trust Etienne to last 17 games. So I'd rather go with James Robinson. And then I trust that offense with Doug Peterson at the helm more so than I trust the Seahawks or Drew Lock, if that makes sense.
James Robinson's an easy choice.
Also, Rashad Penny can't stay healthy either. So I'd rather just go with Robinson.
Also, like if you're going to be named after a currency, at least like be like a dime or something. You know what I'm saying? Because a penny's for peasants and poor people and D-listers. So don't do that.
Now, the last question that we have to answer is from Hercules Hall. Now that the mascot poll is open, the typical legacy fans quickly voted for a hog, but with the mixed to poor reaction of the other past traditions carried over, isn't it better to let the Commander stand on its own and have an all-new mascot? Discuss the other choices.
I definitely see the other side of it. No, I was actually they were just like making a good point on Great and Danny earlier, where they're just like trying to appease the older guard of like fans, the whole Redskins, and appease the newer guys that are like, oh, Command, I want to be all Commanders. And they're pleasing like neither side. So you essentially got to pick a side, like new or old, pick one of them. But as far as the mascots go, I mean, if anyone votes for superhero, like just please deactivate your fandom.
I will say Steve Lim made a great point with the superhero because of the Commandalorian thing. There was a couple of them at the game on Saturday. They got it all painted up. It looks really cool.
You know, that's cool, but that's I don't consider Star Wars superheroes.
But also, like, if they were to like put the Commandalorian like helmet as like the logo for the superhero, all right, cool. They literally got like a dude with like a mask and like flying through the air. It's
and Disney would also have to sign off on it, I'm sure.
Yeah,
we all know.
But
walking and be like, oh,
yeah, anything other than a hog.
You wanna mess with me? Huh? You wanna? Why don't you go back there and that pangolin?
Anything other than the hog should not even be an answer or discussion. It has to be a hog. But again, I see the other side of it where it's like you don't want to like try to please the old crowd and like go for something new, stand on your own 2 feet. But I mean, let's be honest. If they don't pick a hog, everyone's gonna go like bat-ass crazy, and I don't feel like dealing with all that. So just pick the hog.
Yeah, I don't think it should be a hog. Even though pigs are very, very smart animals, you could probably train it to do things. Honestly, Hercules, I'm going to be honest with you, I do not care about mascots, but I understand what it is for an identity, for especially children to have fun at games and to just have something to attach to in a way. But that being said, I would much more rather go down the route of the dog, because the canines being in the military, they have such a huge, they're very important. They have a job in the military. And I think that would be a good way of establishing a connection with the White House. You know what I mean? Especially with Biden's dog being named Commander or whatever.
So you are a Biden fan. I knew it.
He is.
Deep down. You know, you know me better than anybody, Hall. But and to be honest, so speaking of that, since Jason Wright and everybody, we love to piss off the media.
I thought he was gonna go like a whole political.
Why don't we make our mascot an M16? You know what I'm saying?
That would be getting dicey with that one. Jesus,
that was spicy.
Yeah, I thought me saying that we should have an Indian, not Native American, a Redskin, not the logo, well, not a stereotypical drunk like on the logo, but like an actual.
Oh my God!
Like a Seminole or something, like somebody who owns a casino, right? He just comes up and plays blackjack all the time. No, it's kind of this. First of all, I will say Hercules. you love these mascot questions, and I love that about you. Love that for you. You're always asking these tough, hard-hitting questions. I understand what they're doing. They've been doing this with everything on the rebrand. They did it with the fight song. They didn't want to change it. They wanted to give us the option of it being basically the exact same song with a few words changed. They've done it with They don't want to stray too far away from the past. So of course, Hogs is going to end up winning. But I do like the idea of a dog. I do. I think that the military aspect is pretty cool. But the only thing is like, it's going to be a hog, and if we could have Iron Man, something cool like that, I don't know, Mr. Incredible, who could stretch. I would take a superhero in that regard, maybe, for sure. Maybe Hancock, Will Smith's Hancock. I would take that. That's another drunk, basically being Indian. But
thank you, Hercules. That was a great question, because the mascot is obviously something that people are very invested into and they care a lot about. But before we get out of here, guys, if you guys just want to talk about the first preseason game, because we didn't really talk about Carson Wentz, Terry McLaurin, Antonio Gibson, and all that. So do you have any parting words about the game from Saturday, Hall? Or third time. There we go. What about you, Reed?
Third time. Yeah, it was nice to see Carson when he went deep. You know what I'm saying? He took a few shots. One to Jahan, one to Terry. I like that. He definitely. Team started out a little slow. Offense started a little slow, but you could see them getting into a groove. You can tell Carson's still getting comfortable, and we didn't see any of the boneheaded plays necessarily from Carson. We didn't see him in a full game yet, but those will come, I assure you. But I like where they're at, man. They still, obviously, first preseason game, still got a while to go before we have reached our final form. But I'm excited. I like the way things are headed.
Yeah, and I thought it was smart by Rivera and company to make Carson and them go out for the third series, because Antonio Gibson's fumble kind of ruined that second series for the offense. So he sent them back out there. And obviously you got to see that there was this one in route or stop route they threw to Terry McLaurin. And it reminded me of like the Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams quick stop throw, where if they need a quick couple yards, just dish it out to Devontae, runs upfield, gets the first down, whatever. And we've never had that kind of layup kind of throw. And the stop route they threw to Terry, where Terry turns around and then trucks, runs over the DB downfield. I was like, dude, that's awesome. And that kind of showed the progress. And I was very happy with the way that I know they didn't start out great. They didn't look awesome at the first couple series, but you saw the progression, and the progression is what I'm happy about, because it shows that the wheels are turning. Obviously, you want them to be turning a lot faster, but I'm just glad the wheels are turning, and I'm excited to see what they have against Kansas City, because that's going to be a fun game to watch.
How about real fast, Calvin Harmon's almost catch?
He's got to catch that, man. That was a beautiful ball by Sam Howell. You have to.
Oh yeah, he shouldn't have bobbled that, but it would have been tight if he would have just got his big ass feet inbounds and not touched outside. That would have been sick.
What was the question?
No, just saying parting thoughts about the game on Saturday. What you thought of the first team offense, first team defense?
First team defense, like we talked about before, definitely. I feel like they got to get more aggressive. They got to get off the field on third down. They're just basically picking up where they left off last season. But again, there was no game planning. There was no bring 5, bring 6, even though
right.
I felt it was kind of weird that he was like bringing pressure with the 3s towards the end of the game, but like not with the 1s. Like, why do with the 3s, not the 1s? But whatever.
Probably because he wanted that percentage to go down on third down.
Yeah, that's true. Well, you should have done it after the first drive, and you just saw him getting diced up on third down. But anyway, yeah, I definitely like what Carson Wentz did. Obviously, the narrative was he doesn't take the layups. He only wants to hold the ball for like a long time. So I like that he was taking the underneath stuff. I like the play to J.D. McKissick coming out the backfield where J.D. just broke that dude's ankles, broke him down.
Carson stood in there. There was like 2 or 3 blitzers coming out. He stood in there. He sidestepped one and then dished it to J.D. on a rope.
Exactly. I like the throw to him, the Rodgers across the underneath one where he kind of just like stepped up and sidearmed it to him.
Yep.
So definitely like what I saw from Carson. Like we talked about before, the offensive line did their thing as usual. And, Brian Robinson looks like he's going to be the real deal as far as like a guy that's going to be just under 1,000 yards but give you a high volume of touchdowns just because he's a guy that always falls forward. So like what I see from the offense, defense has got to tighten it up and definitely pick up the slack while the offense comes along a little bit more. Otherwise, I can definitely see a slow start to the season. But all in all, I'd give him a grade of like a B minus C plus.
Yeah, and the one deep ball that Bobby McCain and William Jackson slapped it out of the air. I thought that was a great play by them. I thought it was a good start for the preseason for this team, and obviously they have a lot to do better at, and they will work at it. But that was a lot of fun to see the all whites in uniform for the first time.
Yeah.
Jonathan Allen was destroying the right guard all day long. My goodness, he put him on skates a couple times.
Yeah,
Montez
alpha
Sweat
male
looked really
Jonathan
good
Allen.
as well. Really intrigued, excited, but they got to get all the pieces clicking together, baby. They got to start playing as one.
You know who's in midseason form though already? Doc Walker.
Dude, that was the
Doc
best.
was getting it. Doc was getting popping a bone cone when the Panthers did something. He was just like, he loves football.
Yeah.
Like he was like, man, you just gotta love that. You gotta get excited for that. And then like he was so passionate, man. Have him call everything. I would watch it.
Yeah, I absolutely loved him when they got the 1 yard. He's like, "That's too much." I started dying laughing. I was like, that's my dude, man.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we said that earlier.
All right, everybody, it's going to wrap us up for this episode. I'm Kyle.
I'm Hall, and hopefully my internet isn't horrible on Friday again.
Yeah, no, that wouldn't be tight. I am a disappointment to my parents.
All right, everybody, we'll catch you again on Friday. Want to give a shout out to our boy Freddie Ham, going through a tough time right now. I'm not going to say exactly, but we just want to say we're thinking of you, brother. I hope you listen to this, and just know that we're there for you. If you ever need anything, reach out, man. We're here for you. All right, everybody, we'll see you on Friday. Have a great, safe week. Washington football. Woo!
Sponsored.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Kyle. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. And if you liked what you saw, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you get notified when anything new is uploaded to the channel. Also, we just launched theburgundyzone.com. You can go there and find all of our latest news, articles, and the latest episodes that are uploaded. Again, we also have the Discord chat server, where all of our VIP folks are in, like Andy Burrows, Scott Hartley, Sergio Martin is in there as well. Don't miss out on the Discord chat server. Go and check that out. Until next time, everybody, Washington football. Woo!